Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Marco Podcast.
A show dedicated to the realness of organization and entrepreneurship. This space was created for every woman who needs motivation or inspiration to get organized and to keep going after her dream. I'm your host, Angel J. Sit back and prepare for valuable tips, resources, laugh, and much more. If this is your first time here, welcome, and thanks for joining. If you've been hanging around for a while, welcome back, and I hope you brought a friend. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode. Today, I am talking with Paula Tobey. Coach Paula is a certified life and health transformation coach, speaker, author, and leader. More than that, she is a collaborator, challenging and motivating women to find the healthiest, best versions of themselves. She works with clients and groups by leading challenges and boot camps on nutrition and movement. And she also helps those who need one-on-one guidance with food and health issues. Everyone, let's welcome Coach Paula. Hi, Paula. How are you?
I am excited to be here.
Well, thank you. So, Paula, how long have you been an entrepreneur and how did you get started? I know we just talked about it a little bit before we hopped on, but I would love to hear more about it.
Yeah. So, my former life, I was a teacher and I was in the classroom full time until I had my daughter. And we finished out the school year and she was about 6 months old, I guess. And after that, I was struggling. I was like, I want to be her first teacher. I don't want daycare to be her first teacher. So I decided to stay home. And then I was working part-time, teaching swim lessons and water aerobics. I couldn't stay away from teaching. And then my health actually took a huge hit. And I started having a lot of debilitating migraines and chronic joint pain, chronic IBS, and they were issues that literally affected my everyday life. And so I had to get out of teaching altogether. It really wasn't what I wanted to do, but I essentially had no choice. I had to get my health figured out. And in the process, at the same time, I was like, now what? So I was like, I know there's such thing as a life coach. Maybe I'll go get a life coach and see what I'm going to do. So I did that and I was like, oh, wow, I can do this. This is like teaching, only not in the four walls of a school. It's just a little different because the really good teachers are actually coaches. They ask a lot of questions. Yes, they give an assignment and yes, they instruct, but a real good teacher is one that asks a lot of questions of the student. And so I was already really good at that. And so it was a great fit for me. Anyway, all that to say, it started in about 2012 was when I took the leap and became an entrepreneur. And I started as a parent coach. And that quickly showed me, because that was my familiarity in the teaching world, a lot of the kids' families that were coming to me, those kiddos had ADHD or ADD or autism. And simultaneously, I was also getting my health coach certification. And I learned a lot. And I learned that a lot of those kiddos also had health issues. So when I did research and I did digging, I realized that the two were very important and I should do them together. And so I would offer both life and or health coaching to parents to, better assist them in their families. And later, I just kind of took on more of the health coach for women role, mostly because actually a lot of schools then started hiring coaches and had more mental health services. Before that, at that time, they really did not. And so the timing worked out pretty well for me to go more in the life and health coach direction, not worrying about kids as much. So.
Okay, cool. And so when you were a teacher, did you teach a certain subject or just a certain grade? What kind of teacher?
Oh, I did it all, girl. Yeah, it was definitely elementary. And I started with preschool, did that a lot. And then I did kindergarten. And then I kind of finished off with first grade and then kids with dyslexia.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Yeah.
And then when you say a parent coach, what exactly is a parent coach?
So when I would have these parent teacher conferences, I had a lot of parents confiding in me saying, I'm so glad my son Joey is so good at school, but he is not good at home. I'm pulling my hair out. I don't know what to do. And they'd ask me for advice. And at that time, I wasn't much of I was a brand new parent myself, but I could teach them things that I did in school. And so I would say, well, do you have a routine? Or I'd ask questions. I actually was parent coaching at that time. I was asking them, what time do they go to bed? Do they have a certain spot to do their homework? And I realized that I enjoyed those a lot. I had other teacher friends that hated and dreaded the parent-teacher conferences. Nope, not me. I enjoyed them. And so then it was like, that's a good shift. So I went in that direction.
Okay, that's awesome. I love how it started before you even realized what you were doing, and then you took that and you turned it into your career. So, so what are some common misconceptions that you find people have about entrepreneurship?
I would definitely say, I feel like you said it in the beginning, that you can start quickly and get going and kind of, make money and just go. Right. And that is definitely maybe what Instagram or TikTok make you want to believe, that it is, anybody can do it, or even the number of companies out there, like there's tons of network marketing companies now, and they sell you on the idea of becoming your own business owner, small business, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not saying that some of them are not good, because a lot of them really are. And a lot of them have fabulous compensation plans. But it's very different when you're out on your own and you're minus the accountability. And it's a blessing. And at the same time, it's almost a curse. And I can tell you, for me, I found that it's best to have accountability and an accountability group. And so that's why I joined Mastermind. And I'm actually going more in that direction in the future, because that would be accountability partners built in. Okay. So, yeah.
Okay. And when you say masterminds, can you explain that a little bit more for those who may not know what a mastermind is?
Sure. So they've kind of been around for a long time, more so probably in the business setting, but they've become much more common today with coaching. So a mastermind is a group of people that come together. And let me preface this by saying all masterminds are a little bit different. You're not going to really find two exactly the same. So, it gets a little tricky. So, give me a little grace here. Yes, but for the most part, it's a group of people and they have a common interest or a common goal. And then let's say it's a business entrepreneur group. Each woman, or, women or men or whatever, each individual has these things that they're working on. And so they state what it is they are working on, what it is that they are struggling with, maybe something that they want to tip on. And then there's this thing called hot seats, and they put you in the hot seat and you're exposing yourself to everyone, and you're saying, okay, I want help with this. Give me all your ideas. Give me your feedback. And a lot of it is constructive criticism. A lot of it is, okay, you said you wanted to do this, but you didn't do this or this. Does that really mean you still want to do it? And so it's a great way for you to be held accountable, but to stretch you and grow you and help you accomplish the goals that you say that you want to accomplish.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you for sharing that. And so are you just in one mastermind, or are you in multiple ones, depending on like what goal it is that you're trying to reach?
That is a great question. So I personally am in one right now. In the past, I have been in other ones. I have not done multiple at one time. Okay. However, I know people that have, and I don't know how they do it all. I really couldn't tell you. The one person that I know that she is in 3.
Oh, wow.
She's an entrepreneur, and she spends many hours a day, but she actually doesn't have a family, and her husband works kind of late. So she has a little bit more flexibility. And I tell myself that's how she does it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. She's like hiding some extra hours in the day or something that nobody else knows about.
Oh, goodness.
Awesome. And so you also do nutrition and health. And so how does that go with entrepreneurship?
That is a fabulous question. And so, believe it or not, I kind of had in my mastermind, I had this kind of wake up. I think it was a God moment too, in that I asked the group, I'm struggling in kind of making the kind of money that I want to make. And let's be honest, everyone likes to make it look like they can afford all this stuff. But then when you put down on paper your goals and you have some things in mind, you're like, oh, I could use a little bit more, right?
Yes.
And so I had some things in mind that I really wanted to be able to offer. And I can only get to a certain level where I am. And so I knew that if I continued in the path that I was on, I would be happy and successful, but I wouldn't be able to accomplish the goals that I wanted to. And so my mastermind group helped me realize I actually needed to narrow my niche. So I was serving Christian women between the ages of 35 and 55. That's pretty broad.
Yes.
I say Christian because it's a little bit easier for me. I am a Christian, but I happen to weave it in a little bit in what I do. But I tend to attract people that are like that as well. I definitely don't want to turn someone off. And so that's why I say that that's who my group is. But if someone isn't, I definitely wouldn't turn them away. That said, I ask them, all the questions and if it's okay, or, and if someone's really struggling, I'll outright ask them if I can pray for them or help them, because I don't want to feel someone struggling. But anyway, so I knew I needed to narrow that niche because it was actually a very wide market. And what that meant was I actually wasn't getting the good paying client that I wanted when there were so many out there and so many that weren't the right fit. And so I learned that if I narrowed my niche a little bit more, I would have a better chance. And I've already learned in the 2.5, 3 weeks that I've claimed this, and I'll tell you in a second what it is.
Okay.
I'm already having people reach out to me. So I know that it was time and worth it. Yeah. So I've decided that going forward, I'm definitely still a life and health coach for women, but they're entrepreneurs. And so that is my new niche, because these are the ladies that they understand the value and they understand in the mindset of, for my business, I need in the future, I want to do this. I need to plan this in the future for it to do better. So I'm willing to invest now in what will come, the outcome later.
Okay.
Entrepreneurs kind of understand that because they've started learning that in order to grow your business, you have to take some risks.
Right.
Moms and women that don't understand that have a really hard time saying, put me first. I'm first. I want all the, I want the health stuff. I want the, they don't necessarily do that. And when you're talking about helping a mom to, work on things that are really hard for her, maybe it's weight loss, maybe it's improved energy, whatever those issues are, she's already kind of not wanting to do it. And then to tell her, oh, it's going to cost this. She wants to put that money toward her kids. I understand. I do. I totally do. So I decided that narrowing my niche would actually help me find my target market faster and sooner. And it's already paying off. So yay.
Okay, awesome. Well, cool.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to figure that out and that it's working for you. So cool.
Yeah.
So what are some of the common side effects, some of the most common effects of poor gut health that people don't have any clue about?
Right. So, yeah, I am known as the person who knows about gut-brain connection. And the story behind that essentially is I have a family history, and I learned that all those health issues that I was struggling with years ago were all related to gut health. I purchased this book. I actually keep it right here. And I tag it, as you can see. I'm sharing with the people. You can probably hear me turning all the pieces of paper. This thing is like my Bible, highlighted and underlined, and it's called The Gut and Psychology Syndrome. It's natural treatment for autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADD, ADHD, depression, and schizophrenia. So we're talking about issues that are physical, but they're mental health and mental issues. and how that plays in with the gut and your health. So I happened to stumble across this in 2010 when I start going through some of my own personal issues. I'm getting life coached in 2011, and then I'm seeing connections in the parents and the kids that I'm working with, and I'm looking in this book and I'm going, wow. And I end up start reading it like cover to cover, which is kind of strange because it's a big book, one, but it's kind of texty. It's kind of like a textbook. And that's not really like me. But it intrigued me, and it absorbed my everything, because I was finding myself and my family history on the pages. Like, I was realizing I had dyslexia. I had a dad who has dyslexia. I have a mom who had ADHD. I have a daughter who's dyslexic, and she has ADHD. I have another daughter who suffers from depression. Like, there is family history here. And likewise, around the same time, I had all of these family members coming down with cancer.
Oh, wow.
My mom's brother, well, first, their dad, their parent, he had diabetes type 1, which is a rarer condition. So he had diabetes, and he had had many strokes and didn't do well, blah, blah. And so then my uncle was diagnosed with intestinal cancer. My mom passed away from pancreatic cancer. And then later, my dad realized he had stage 1 colon cancer. He was able to get it removed, no problem. But that told me that I had a family history of a lot of gut health issues.
Right.
And it also made me realize that had I not done the work 10 years, and about this time, it was about 10 years prior, I could be in that position heading down toward a diagnosis. And I had already been told, had I not changed my health lifestyle, I would have become celiac disease.
Okay.
I have a gluten sensitivity, and I cannot eat it without having minor issues at this point. But if you start consuming more and more, it would turn into major. That's where migraines, joint pain, and IBS all stemmed from, was gluten. And then I also have some sensitivity to milk product called whey, and it's just a protein in milk. So I try to limit dairy, and then I don't eat gluten, except for I have small amounts, because I also learned if you totally omit it, you can become so intolerant that if you have trace amounts, then your body goes crazy and haywire. Right. So where mine is just a sensitivity, it's better for me to have small amounts occasionally. So
okay.
Yeah. But anyway, this whole gut health thing is actually mind-boggling, but at the same time, it's literally life transformational in that they have been able to make direct correlations between learning and the health of your gut, and how it affects your learning capabilities. It affects your brain development. It affects how well and how fast you think, whether or not you're prone to depression. I mean, there's so much research behind it, and it just proved to me the importance of eating healthy. And really what I'd love to do, if it's okay, is to offer, kind of tips for people to know what is healthy. How do I stay healthy? And long term, it is pretty simple stuff, but it's harder to do than one would think.
Oh,
so
yes.
Would it be okay if I share that?
Oh, yes, that's definitely okay. Yes, go ahead and share your tips, please.
Awesome. Okay, so the number one thing that can help someone to restore and repair their gut is if they cut down on sugar. Now, everyone talks about that. It's literally in everything. It's in it's in everything. It's a lot easier said than done. But one of the things that we don't always think of is the amount of sugar that is in something, right? Unless we see it visually, we don't really know. You may have seen some of those memes that go around and they show you, Coke, and they show you a juice drink, and then the bags of sugar. Yeah.
Yes.
And without some kinds of visuals like that, we don't necessarily understand And it's normal and obvious. We wouldn't understand how much a gram can add up to over a period of a whole day, let alone
Right.
week after week after week, right? And
Right.
so when we see that visual, it gives us a better indication of, wow, there's actually a lot of sugar in that. Okay, so maybe I should cut out soda. Okay, fine, right? I think that's what a lot of people got out of that image that was going around. But it's in everything. I mean, everything, in condiments, and it's in, it's in all forms of carbohydrates, and
Yep.
it's everywhere. It's in, obviously drinks and, things like that, but in our healthy foods, it's in there too. And then not to mention when you go out to eat, right? So that makes it worse. And then kind of the most or worst would be the poor ingredient foods or fast foods, right? And so that's the stuff that we know is loaded with it. Anyway, all of this to say, sugar is what causes the gut to become inflamed. And what that means is all of the little trillions of bacteria and all the things that are living in the gut that belong there are supposed to be kind of like green grass, thriving and growing, and, like think of like, happy green grass growing. And then when you have a lot of sugar come in there, it's kind of like putting a blanket of snow over the top, and it's heavy and it's weighed down. The grass can't possibly thrive and move if it's weighed down.
Right.
Right. So when your gut becomes inflamed, it's kind of like more and more snow getting packed on the grass. And sure enough, over a period of time, that grass is going to be dead.
Right.
So you just have to understand that in order to keep your gut healthy and thriving, you have to keep away the things that will, essentially kill it. So if you were to build protection around that patch of grass and it snowed, you'd be okay. So that is what we want to do with the knowledge of these tips and the knowledge of, understanding the gut brain connection. And so the next thing that I like to share with people about that is, reducing the sugar and drinking lots of water. One of the best tips that I've ever heard for someone to think of how much you need is just half your weight in ounces. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you want to be drinking 100 ounces of water a day. No longer is it 8 glasses or whatever. That was a standard that they come up with a long time ago that doesn't fit every person, every lifestyle. And especially if you live in warmer climates, you absolutely need that much because of, heat.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. Okay. And so another one, honestly, is sleep. Sleep is a fabulous thing that helps heal the gut. Your body needs time to regenerate and to rest. And if you don't get enough sleep, let's say you're someone that only sleeps about 3 hours, it doesn't give your gut enough time to empty the food out and then rest and regenerate and then empty and then begin again the next day. There's not enough time. And so one of the best things that you can do for your digestive system is to get good rest. And for adults, they recommend 7 to 9 hours.
Okay. Okay, awesome.
So yeah, so those are some of the top tips. I'd say after that, there's tons more, but I would say those are my top 3.
Okay. So cut out sugars, drink half of your body weight in water, in ounces though. So in ounces, and ounces of water, and then to make sure that you're getting enough sleep.
Yeah. I think if people are more cognizant of those things, there's a lot that they can do to help improve their gut. And obviously, things like supplements, taking probiotics, prebiotics, all of that kind of stuff is also going to help. But the reason why this is important, again, tying it back to the brain, it helps you think clearly, it gives you more energy, it makes you alert, and you're definitely in your better place. And how we tie this then to entrepreneurs is your business will do better when you're taking care of yourself.
Okay. Yep. That makes sense. Yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup. So if you're tired and sleepy, or if you're just not motivated or into it, then you're going to show up like that in your business, and it's going to show up that you didn't put your best foot forward, and that you're sleepy or that you're unmotivated at the moment. So it's all the
Amen.
balance.
That's yes, it is.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's all a balancing act there. So
And when we understand the investment that we're making in our health, then our business begins to grow. And it's an amazing correlation. And that's, that is now more of the direction that I'm going into in 2024. I want to be, because I've been doing this a good long time now, I want to be a mentor to newer business owners so they don't make the kinds of mistakes that I was making, thinking that they can run on Dunkin',
Right. You can try, but you can't. Yeah, my son actually told me that I drink too much coffee and that I need to cut back on my coffee. He's like, "You're just always drinking coffee. You just need to cut back on your coffee." And I'm like,
And how old is he?
He's 8.
Okay.
Yeah, he's 8.
I'm telling you, what's the phrase? Out of the mouths of babes.
Right, but I'm like, can you stop judging my coffee intake, please? Like, how about you worry about yourself and you leave me and my coffee intake alone, But
yeah. Well, one thing you can do is offset your 1 cup with 1 full glass of water or one, whatever. I like to carry these because they're quick and easy, and then I recycle them. But yeah.
Yes, that's what I do. I usually have my water bottles with me. We used to because I used to work full time at my job. We used to have a water cooler, so I would just take my refillable cup and I would refill that. My cup was like 20 or 22 ounces, and I would refill that probably about 4 or 5 times a day because I'd just be sitting there drinking it. And so usually my 1 cup of coffee in the morning is anywhere, depending on which travel tumbler I get, it's either 20 ounces or 32 ounces. And so I'll usually have 1 in the morning, and then I'll usually have another one in the afternoon. Like sometimes I'll have another one at work, or sometimes I'll get like another coffee in the afternoon on my way home, or I'll get home and I'll make coffee. But other than coffee, water is what I'm drinking throughout the day. So
yeah, well, that's good. At least you are, you are replenishing with a good amount of water. That's
yes, good. I definitely balance my coffee with my water, so it's not just all coffees and sodas and stuff like that. So
right.
Try, yes,
but it is very astute of your son, I must say.
I then I was like, well, you watch too much YouTube Kids, and he's like, no, I don't. I'm like, yeah, but you do there, buddy. So yeah. Well, Paula, thank you so much. Is there anything else? Oh, and also you have a podcast as well. Can you tell us about your podcast?
Sure, I'd love to. Yeah. So the book that I wrote is called Becoming a Phenomenal Mom, 5 Steps to a Healthier Life. And after that book came out, I was like, oh, yeah, now I need a podcast. So it was kind of an afterthought, but it's called Phenomenal Living. And the podcast is for all women of all ages, because the book, it makes it sound like it's just for moms, and it's not just for moms, but I wanted the podcast to be much more open. And so it is Phenomenal Living. So just about anybody can listen. I definitely tell everyone that I speak mostly to women, but if a guy really wants to listen, I'm not going to stop him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I host it on Spreaker, but it's available on Apple Podcasts and all the ones.
Okay, and I'll make sure to link it in the show notes. And is there anything else that you would like to share before we go? Any other tips or advice or anything like that?
Yeah, so my book is available on Amazon, and like I said in the beginning, or I might have, maybe I just told you, I offer it up for free a couple of times a year because I really want it to get into moms' hands. I did just offer it free for Black Friday, and I think I'm going to continue to do that Mother's Day and Black Friday, because guess what? That's what women like. They like those sales and those times a year. It's good to be celebrated and get a good deal. So that's when I've decided to offer it up. Yeah, for free. But it's very affordable. But I'm going to tell you, this book is for all women of all ages. The reason why God called me to write it is because it was where I was in my journey in parenting. And I shared 5 different lessons, major life lessons that I learned. And it was my journey in motherhood, learning those lessons. And the book itself is really written for any woman in transition, because yes, I'm sharing my life lessons as a mom, but they are life lessons as a woman. And any woman could have that lesson at any time in her life, right? And so that part, it doesn't matter. And then the good part is it's a little bit of my story. It's a little bit of teaching and, learn what I learned, learning and, teaching and sharing. And then there is reflective questions. And I like that, especially because it's not all about me. I want you to find your best you. And so that is why it's called Becoming a Phenomenal Mom, 5 Steps to Your Healthier Life.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you. And I will definitely link that in the show notes as well, Paula.
Awesome.
And how can everyone connect with you?
Sure. So the book is on Amazon. My name is my website. So it's just paulatobey.com, paulatobey.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, Paula, thank you so much for sharing with us about balancing entrepreneurship and about gut health. I appreciate it. And I
Yeah.
hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
I will. And thank you so much for having me as a guest. It's been fabulous getting to know you. And I've already listened to a little bit of yours, so I'm excited to keep on listening. It's good.
Well, thank you. And you're very welcome. And I'm definitely going to go and download yours and take a listen to it as well. So thank you so
Awesome.
much.
All right. Well, you have a great day as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Modco podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and learned something from it. Be sure to share this episode with a friend, family member, colleague, or anyone you think will enjoy it. Make sure you hit the follow or subscribe button. And if you love the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcasting app. That helps others to find us and gets us listed in other show recommendations. So you all know that I run on coffee, and so does the show. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by clicking on the link in the show notes. Thank you so much, and chat soon. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Modco podcast. I hope that you enjoyed this episode and learned something from it. Be sure to share this episode with a friend, family member, colleague, or anyone you think will enjoy it. Make sure you hit the follow or subscribe button. And if you love the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcasting app. That helps others to find us and gets us listed in other show recommendations. So you all know that I run on coffee, and so does the show. If you'd like to buy us a coffee, you can do so by clicking on the link in the show notes. Thank you so much, and chat soon.